Good afternoon, and welcome to today's Uplift. I'm Reverend Jeanne, and I get the chance to lead you in the Uplift today from my home. Yay! Welcome. I'm glad you could join us. As you know, Uplift is a time just to take a little bit of time during the day to just reconnect with the truth and hear a little message, have a little prayer. So I hope you enjoy it. Today I'll be talking about something that I think we can all relate to, navigating change. And in this time of a lot of change going on, I think it's very relevant. So I have some thoughts about how to put that in perspective, and I hope you'll join me and you'll enjoy it. But let's start in prayer, shall we? So just going within, breathing into the one life, one love, one law, the life, the love, the law of spirit that is always operating here and everywhere, always moving forever into that greater expression of itself through us, as us, with us, for us. It is the peace, the love, the wholeness, the wisdom that dwells within each of us, guiding, supporting, protecting, and bringing into new, even as we sit in this sheltering in place experience. I know there is a movement of good underway in each of our lives and throughout the world, gathering energy from our stillness, our deepening, and our release of what no longer serves. So I am just so grateful for the movement of spirit, knowing that it is the energy that is healing the world and the earth right here and now. And so I surrender to this powerful work of spirit with confidence and love, and so it is. So, navigating change. How you doing with that? Me, not so much some days, but I think we're only at the very beginning of it. I think we need to be buckling our seatbelts right about now, right? You know, in religious science, we talk about the spiral of life and how we're always moving into a greater expression of our divine selves. And that's not just a concept of the afterlife. It's really an idea that plays out throughout our lives, throughout each day, throughout every aspect of our lives. You know, we really are always moving into a greater expression of our divine selves, cycling, sometimes spiraling through the changes, the things around us. And the truth is, in order to move forward, we have to let go of the old in order to make room for the new. And I keep feeling that's exactly what we're going through right now, letting go of the old and making room for a new to emerge. You know, Ernest Holmes says, nature will never let us stay in one place too long. She will let us stay only long enough to gather the experience necessary to the unfolding and advancement of our soul. So here we are, gathering this experience, but knowing that it's up-leveling us. And I think that's an important point. You know, when we think about the cycle of life, whether it's our human life or the life of a business or the life of a relationship or even an idea, there's a cycle that goes on, right? It begins with a birth. It begins being born. It grows. It comes into fullness. Then it declines, and then eventually dies. But there's another stage that's well in that cycle that we often don't talk about, and I think it's a really important stage to reflect on right now. It's called, at least I call it, the neutral zone. And that comes from William Bridges in his book, Transitions, Making Sense of Life's Changes. But the neutral zone is the stage that comes between the death of something, right? And then the birth of the new thing coming up. And sometimes it's an extended stage, but it involves sitting in the unknowing. It's the place where ideas and experience in a relationship may be over, but the birth of the new thing is still unknown. And we're sitting solidly in it right now. We are in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic. And not by choice, but by necessity, right? We may have different ideas about how this happened and why this is happening and all of that, but the fact is we are sitting right now solidly in the stage of that neutral zone, both individually and globally. We're in the heart of it. And just like each of the stages, this stage has some powerful gifts to give us if we participate, right? Because the neutral zone plays a critical and essential role in the creation of the new. It's a time to distill and process the lessons learned, a place to gather insight and energy. Like the caterpillar's cocoon, it's where the incubation of the new is beginning. And no doubt, the neutral zone is the most uncomfortable place to be in. It really is. It's so hard. Because it's that in-between time. You may have seen it, experienced it in your past with in-between jobs, in between relationships, in between ideas, right? And these days, it's in between what used to be the typical of our life and what the new normal may or may not look like in the future. We're right in between that. And the main discomfort that we feel, what that comes from, is that sense of a lack of control, right? We don't have control over this. The virus is bigger than we are. And I think that's one of the hardest and most humbling parts of all of this. I know that I have felt some very impatient urges to, I just want to do something, anything, right? Just to get back to some kind of normalcy. Emotions of anger and frustration and fear and denial, they're in a constant spiral. But the fact is, there is no answer. There's no choice. There's nothing, no action to take right now to get out of this neutral zone. And that makes it even more intense and more uncomfortable. Just is. For me, it helps me to remember that it is a stage and it's an important step in the cycle of transformation, because that's what this is. We are in the midst of the movement into a transformation. And embracing the neutral zone gives us time to be transformed into the people that we need to be, that our soul is calling us to be, that our lives are meant to be. And it takes time in the neutral zone to actually become that for the newness to take place. So what a gift, right? We have time. Everything's stopped around us. We have space to engage in the neutral zone. And that's the work we're being called to do these days. We can use this time to release the old ideas and experiences and sometimes the old identities that just no longer serve us. This is the time. This is the time to process the learning, to live in the emptiness, to create the space for something new and greater, to grow and finally birth itself. It is in this dark or invisible stage where our transformation is really being birthed. Emily Cady is one of the original New Thought teachers. She talks about how when we sit in the neutral zone, that emptiness space, we're opening up our lives for spirit to move forward. She reminds us that spirit is always providing the new path, the new idea, the new desire, and pressing it against our hearts to be more of who we are here to be. I love this quote from her. She says, "Remember this, desire in the heart for anything is God's sure promise sent beforehand to indicate that it's already yours, right? It's already there. You wouldn't know it or feel it or live this if the promise wasn't already there." The neutral zone is the time and the chance to listen to Spirit's call, that call on your heart, and to prepare a place, to make room for that larger and greater divine self to emerge and express out in the world. So the birth, growth, fullness cycle that we're talking about, that may be where the external and tangible acts are seen, but it's in the neutral zone where that's where the real action takes place, in our consciousness, right? That's where the partnership between each of us and Spirit really works its magic. So here is our work. To know the deepest part of us, in our very cells, to know that no change, no age or even death can threaten that inner stability. Because we are incarnations of Spirit. And as such, we are always moving into a greater expression of the divine life and the divine love. And we are guided and guarded in that movement. Pema Chodron says, "Things falling apart is a kind of testing and also a kind of healing. We think that the point is to pass the test or to overcome the problems. But the truth is, things don't really get solved. They just come together again and then fall apart. And then they come together again and fall apart again. That's the way it is. But the healing comes from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, room for relief, for misery, and for joy. Okay? So let us make room for all of this. Every feeling, no matter how uncomfortable. Let us embrace the time, the space, the neutral zone, recognizing its deep and transforming action is underway right here and now. So I'd like to end with a short meditation that's on change and kind of uses the qualities of God that I wrote. So I just invite you to just settle in, close your eyes. And breathing into that heart space, settling into the cave of the heart. Imagine a field of flowers as far as you can see, an abundance of vibrant colors. Let your mind's eye zoom into a patch of soil, rich and moist from a summer's rain. Watch as a tiny green shoot emerges from the soil. And as if in time lapse, it begins to unfold, stretching up to the sky. Let a feeling of peace envelop you as you connect with this plant's journey. Feel the freedom, free from the dark soil and up into the light. Feel the balance as it gently grows upward. The inherent wisdom of the flower, knowing just what to do and when to do it. And the love of the soil that nurtures the plant and the sun that makes it strong. Watch as the bud begins to open its petals one by one, coming into fullness, its vibrant beauty fully expressed. Feel the wholeness of the moment, nothing missing, all is complete, and the joy of full expression. And now watch as the petals begin to brown, to wither and fall away. But look closer, deep inside the flower. Note how the petals have just been protecting the seeds that live there at the flower's core. And these seeds are now free, softly lifted by the wind, and being scattered across the field of vibrant flowers. And now follow one of those seeds, watching it nestle in the fertile soil to become a shoot, a bud, a flower. And consider the areas of your life where the cycle of life is reflected. Are these parts that are still being nurtured in the dark, rich soil of your consciousness? Are there aspects beginning to bloom, areas that are in full flower right now? Things that are dropping away out of your life so that new seeds can be scattered and grow. Allow yourself to feel the perfection of each of these stages, recognizing the divine right order as it unfolds exactly as it should. It's all part of the divine design. So breathe in this truth, this knowing, just the gratitude for this power of this life, of God's life right here and now. And take another deep breath. And join me again. Thank you for allowing me to lead you today. And tune in again tomorrow for another Uplift. I hope you have a great day. Namaste.